All right, guys. Hopefully everybody's feeling well. One, two, three. Can everybody hear me and see me? Can everybody hear me and see me this morning? Happy Saturday. Javon, what's going on, Mr. Powell? See you in the building. As always, top executor here. How's everybody feeling? Everybody should be good. Everybody's good, right? Everybody can hear me, see me good. Perfect. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get this party started. Happy Saturday to everybody. You guys ready to go? Holiday treated everybody well, I presume. Should be ready to go. Make sure we are on this end. What was one thing you were grateful for this Thanksgiving? What was one thing that you were grateful for? Real quick in the chat. What were you grateful for? Fellowship, family, life. All right. I see fellowship, family. See a lot of family. This community. See a lot of things. I would agree with all of that. All right. Definitely, I'm grateful for life. Some people did not even make it. Did not even get to spend time with their families. You know what I'm saying? See, someone said life, see God. You gotta be thankful. Great food for sure. Health, this skill set. You know, that's what it's about. 100%. Family. I'm grateful for. One thing I want to say is, I'm definitely grateful for the ability to be able to serve. Right? So that was one thing that I had some time to reflect on. And I thought back. I said, man, I'm grateful for the ability to be able to serve every single day, right? It's a blessing to be of service, right? I think sometimes you could take that maybe for granted, you know what I mean? And it's a blessing to be able to serve and help people, on a regular basis. The amount of messages that I received in the past 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours was, I was just grateful. I see a good brother, Keenan, our friendship, me and him, we became friends you know, by him being here in this program. The amount of times we've sat down and ate at Malone's and fellowshipped and the conversations me have had on the back end. When I went through something a few years ago, he was someone that was right there by my side, so I'm grateful for family and community. And most importantly, the people inside with you guys make up the community. So definitely want to start off this Saturday Zone by saying grateful, super appreciative, and let's get back to work. It's December. December is here. Pretty much December 1st will be Monday. So just like that, November is over. And it happened pretty fast. It's the 29th today. And we like, wow, December 1st is there. Excited for December. We got a few birthdays in the community in December. So definitely shout out to anybody that's in the Sagittarius gang. Your season is up right now. So be early birthday to everyone there. And we'll have a new student of the month. I'm going to announce the student of the month at the end of today's class. So, stick around if you can towards the end, because I want to give that person their flowers for their diligence and just consistency. So, definitely a Sagittarius season. So, shout out to everybody who is about to celebrate another lap around the sun. You got to be appreciative and grateful for that. And man, let's go ahead and get into this thing. So, let's talk opportunities across the board. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and appreciate everybody being here. We will be live again tomorrow morning. We will be live tomorrow. This was a pop-up. I said, man, I got some time. So let me give the people some good. I don't feel like we haven't been on Zoom, I want to say in about at least 3 days. So it felt a little weird. I was like, well, let me pop this thing up and give the people some value this morning. We will have our regular weekly watch list tomorrow, but just wanted to add some value to great people here in the community today. So a couple things to really go over and discuss, right? So next week is back to business week. So I want to say this would be the first normal month of reporting, right? This would be the first normal month of reporting since really like September, right? We went through the government shutdown and the way that our numbers were coming out and the way that things were being reported were not as transparent, right? So usually the first week of the month is always employment week, all right? So we're kind of back to that regular schedule. Good thing here, right? The government shutdown is behind us, right? Now we will be getting here on Friday, right? A couple of delayed reports, though, right? So I do want to touch on that. So we will be getting a couple of delayed reports on Friday. We're getting personal income and personal spending, PCE numbers, right? Inflation reports from September, and it's going to be December, right? So what I do say is about as far as getting back to normal is we will be getting our ADP numbers on Wednesday, right? December 3rd, right? On Wednesday for the November report. So we will get the ADP numbers, right? On December 3rd, right? At 8:15 a.m. So that is something good for us to at least have that number on time. But we're still behind on so many numbers. It's like, this data thing, they're giving us data from September when we're talking about now we have a Federal Reserve interest rate, which is about to be right here around the corner. Um, we have it on December 10th. So I want you to put that on your calendars. December 10th will be the Federal Reserve interest rate next decision that we're going to have. So I do have the Federal Reserve funds rate, actually history pulled up here. I'm gonna share this link in the chat for everybody that's on here, so you can just follow along. So there we go. You can follow along. You can click that link, and I'll drop it in the Discord when we're finished as well. All right, so you can go ahead and click that link. Now, I want to go to some of our most recent interest rate decisions. The last time that we got a rate cut was we had it September 17th this year and October 29th. Now, it was at one point this year, it was a foregone conclusion, right, that we were going to be having, right, a interest rate cut, right, at this meeting. Now, it was at one point this year a foregone conclusion that that was what was going to be happening. Now, it doesn't look like it, right? So it does not look like we are going to be getting that interest rate cut that once we were once again expecting to get. It does not look like that is what we're going to get anymore. So, looking across the board, um, at this Federal Reserve interest rate, how would this anticipate? How do we anticipate that this affects the market? So because the market was pricing in this rate cut, it we did kind of already see a sell-off. So now let me go to the S&P 500 real quick. So we did already see like a real sell-off on a lot of the risky assets. So if you notice here on the SPY, let's just talk numbers and facts as we always do. Here on October 29th, we actually pulled back, right, from about almost 690, basically 690. We drew down by the 20th of last month. This was like really our September pullback. But funny enough, we never got a September pullback. We got a September all-time high every day, right? The lowest day of September was actually the day after Labor Day. We were down 1,000 points on the Dow. We were down 500 plus points on the Nasdaq, and then after that, we ran all the way back up. We had a little red day here in October, but we immediately bought that up. Market pushed back to a high. We had the same thing, a pullback here in November, right, where we dropped, we closed, we hit 650, but since then we've rallied and went up about 330 points on the S&P 500. So the SPY is back up here to 683 that fast. You blink twice that fast and we're already here. Now it has been led the way, of course. Google's assisted it. Apple's assisted it. Funny enough, NVIDIA is still below $200. So NVIDIA has not really played that same role in assisting the S&P 500 and going back upwards, right? It's really been Apple. Microsoft came up a little bit, but it was really Apple and Google that really took the helm and really powered this thing up. Google really shifted things during the month of last month. We're taking a look at Google and they're chasing NVIDIA, right? They're knocking at the door. They passed Microsoft that fast, right? You blink twice and now Google, which was, just 200, 220. Next thing you know, they're at 300. So just that fast, the landscape changed, right? As far as market capitalization and the markets overall. So, just doing some synopsis there. I also want to highlight really good when we were talking about Meta over the past couple of weeks. Right now, Meta is back up here. I want to point this out because Meta is back up here to 647. We're still back. We're looking back in that area. Remember, we were talking about like 675. That'll be the area where if Meta can actually break over and get over that 675, they can actually have a nice move to the upside. So I would be watching in the month of December. If we do see Meta back over 675, guys, I do think that Meta will try to make its move back to 700. So that is one thing to pay attention to. Second thing to pay attention to is this, right? So hold on. If we are looking and anticipating, two things that I want to do real quick. Where's my tools? My tools this morning. There we go. So we're about to come back into this area in this zone where I want you guys to watch. Like next week could be very pivotal. If we're able to actually break, but it's funny enough where we're sitting at right now, if we could see a solid break over this 683, it's very possible that we could see a new all-time high from the S&P 500 next week. Very possible that a new all-time high could come about, led by the way of a couple of different stocks, right? So two things, watching 685.89. You got Meta here, which we know Meta is a nice component here as well of the S&P 500. So Meta's been moving to the downside, trying to be back on a recovery. I would pay attention directly on Meta back above that 675. You'll be looking at a break over 680. But the momentum, if the buying pressure and momentum can push Meta upwards, S&P 500, that'd be very important for us to watch out for. So next week. Next thing I want to cover, I want to get into some of our December, right? You know, when we think about holiday shopping this year, right? Some people is going to be looking at things to shop for. I want you to pay attention to NVIDIA this month. NVIDIA, we know that NVIDIA actually has, already reported their quarterly earnings. So that's a good thing. They got that out the way for us. We don't even need to hear from them as far as quarterly earnings reports no more until next year. So that's the good thing about NVIDIA that they've already reported for us. Now, I want you to watch NVIDIA on the downside below 174. You notice like last week, NVIDIA was the one name that just really didn't have no juice, right? A lot of it, like we said, came from Google, Alphabet Inc. doing over $300 a share. Like I said, you blink twice and this thing is shot, to 320. Pretty crazy. Past month, Google's up 20%, which is pretty good for a company, that sits in a magnificent seven. Then you also have over the past 6 months, Google's up 84%. So led the way there. Of course, you do have AVGO, which is climbed asset allocation wise, right? When you take a look at the NASDAQ and the QQQ, right? You take a look at these names. Broadcom sits here, number 4. So Broadcom has also paid, a good bit of their success has led to the Nasdaq going up as well, and the S&P 500. My goodness gracious, Broadcom came right off of this diagonal trend line. Buyer stepped right in there at 337. Lord Jesus, shot this thing up all the way over to 400. So very fast. A lot of things is changing fast in the market. Alphabet Inc. shot up like crazy. Google, just Alphabet and Google just collectively together, just been an amazing run for that specific company. And then AVGO, I mean, this thing, nothing stops this thing. Not even a split could stop AVGO, right? Not even a split. So it's like they split, sold off a little bit, came back down, ultimately sold off when they did the split a little. Then, stock price came back down, was 140. Now it's at 400. So nothing seems to be stopping AVGO. This thing just continues to keep pushing. So shout out to them in that regard. They've done had an amazing month. And shout out to them. Now let's get into these December. We covered kind of the basis of everything that led us upward this week, but I want to get into I want to reiterate some things on the back half of this year, just to make sure there's really no confusion, right? So when you do take a look at NVO, right, a lot of questions that people specifically had in the past couple of business days. A lot of people asked my thoughts with NVO, and I know some of the news that has came out lately shifted the stock downward. But I always want to focus on valuations, right? Like the stock pulled back a little bit, but notice that the buying has been resilient. I feel as if you're getting MVO at these levels. This is, once again, I'm not anticipating. I know when some people are looking for MVO, um, you know, I just think that I think sometimes we look too short-sighted, right? And a lot of times people think something's gonna pan out, within the same day, or we do have things that pan out same day, but this is not it. MVO, we're looking for a recovery play over a period of time. So if you're getting exposed to MVO, I want you to understand that this is more so of a recovery play. We're not looking for this thing to go back to an all-time high tomorrow. We're not even, honestly, we're really not even looking at it to go probably back to an all-time high no time soon. But we view this as a good solid area for you to get involved in this company, right? For a recovery play longer term, right? So we don't expect this thing to probably recover for at least a year to maybe two, right? That's just realistically upfront that we're highlighting and saying, hey, we don't believe this name is going to recover anytime soon. But we think that if you go ahead and you invest in it in the long run, it'll pay off. Right. So we have targets up to $75 and $80 over the next 2 years. And that's on ticker NVO. So really good company. Went through a tough time, but it's at a proper valuation. So I do want to make sure that I make mention of that. Um, just to kind of highlight that again for those that maybe missed it. Next ticker I want to talk about is a ticker that's just down a little bit from its all-time high, but I think it presents a decent opportunity. But I want to expose and speak about where would be a pretty fair price to pay for ANET. Because right now, if you're looking at ANET, let's pull it up here on the Yahoo Finance and get accustomed to following these principles and practices when it comes to researching and as well evaluating your company. Quick evaluation metrics, can be done very simply and easily. You got a forward PE of 38, trailing PE of 48. Ideally, I would like this company has earned $2.63. If you look on ANET's chart, it's not the company that gives you a pullback too often, right? So this is not a name that gives you a pullback too often here. So when the pullbacks do come, yeah, it's far and few between, right? You got a pullback here. You only get major pullbacks when there's something major happening in the market. Other times, usually, this stock is trading pretty much to the upside with making consistent higher highs and higher lows. So I would like this name from an ideal price perspective, maybe around 100 to 120 bucks, right? Like it gives you it drops into around $100. I think you can't refuse the name. Before I told people when the stock first came down in February and March, I told people, yo, around 65, 70 bucks, take your shot at it. And that's where the valuation really led us to believe that that would be potentially the bottom. Ended up being true. Cool. So that was the bottom there. So I want you guys to look at ANET long-term wise. I expect this company to be a $200 plus company. Currently, right now, it's 164 billion in market cap. So you're looking, if it goes 200 plus, you're looking at a company that'd be in a mega cap, right? So we'll be looking for a move over that 250 billion market cap over the next few years. We definitely believe they have that potential. And we do view this as a pretty decent buying opportunity here on a pullback. Next name I want to cover is Oracle, and then I'm going to get United Health right after. So remember, Oracle was the stock that everyone wanted when it was at 340. Now it's at 200. And lo and behold, I still think you could see some more downside on Oracle. I don't think it's over yet. But let's just say, ideally, if you're thinking about long-term investing, ideally, I would say 140 to 160 would be a really fair price to pay. Now, Oracle's earnings are 9 days away. So you guys remember last time when Oracle had their earnings, Oracle shot, what was that, up like maybe 70, 75 bucks. Oracle had their earnings and shot up that high. That was more of a surprise. Oracle typically doesn't do that, right? So when it comes to, Oracle, and I am looking at Oracle here. Um, I am following, right? I'm following this from a price perspective. There's a couple things that I would like for Oracle. If you are thinking about a stock next year and the year, years after, it's the company that is on a discount, right? Oracle at 340, everyone wanted it. This is still a good business, all right? Still the business that still has those lofty expectations, right? Now, can they live up to it? That's the main question. Just because you say you have deals here, deals there, okay, cool. But when the earnings come out, what are those deals generating profit wise? Anybody can say they have a deal, right? But what do those deals actually generate and turn into profit wise? So Oracle, the sweet spot for me, honestly, a tech company doesn't always give you a best price, but that sweet spot is around there, around that 140 to 160 mark, right? That sweet spot there. So if you're thinking about, hey, I got some money to the side, um, I definitely would say, if you can go ahead and, take a look at Oracle, I would say that 140 to 160 would be a really sweet spot. So my thoughts is with Oracle in the next coming month, let's see, especially with its earnings. Let's see. I think we would invite Oracle coming down. I think that'd be a nice thing. So if Oracle comes down maybe 20, 30 points off their earnings, I think that presents itself as a buying opportunity, not necessarily guaranteeing that happens, but definitely add Oracle to your Christmas list, right? Add Oracle to your Christmas list as far as going shopping this season. Oracle, I think, is worth the buck that you're going to pay. And it's a great company. It's been here. It's been tested through the time. It's been around a minute, right? And they have some things that they can make some adjustments on to kind of clean some stuff up for them profitability wise. But I think the sky's the limit for this name. So Oracle definitely, to me, is worth being on a shopping floor for. So you definitely want to do some shopping there here this holiday season. Next stock that we're going to break down and cover will be United Health. So 1 second. A lot of people have asked me about UNH. So I'm just gonna pull up the healthcare sector ETF. So if you notice that here, a couple things on UNH. There we go. So ideally, right, just to get this out the way, 240 to 240 to 260 would be definitely the area that I would say if you are able to, let's say worst case scenario, next year we get a correction, that comes in December. Well, correction that comes in February or March, or, comes in September. And let's say we see, right, UNH pulls back down to 240, 270 again. That would be a price that, once again, I don't believe that you can really ignore. But I do want to stress that that is not a price that you can ignore. I think it's in a great position here. I don't know if you're going under 300 again for very long, right? Realistically. So I like UNH, the XLV ETF, healthcare. Said it once and I'll say it again. When everyone was beating up on healthcare, I kept telling people, remember, Eli Lilly is over here over $1,000 now. Remember when Eli Lilly was down to 700, I said, yo, Eli Lilly will be a $1,400 company sooner than later. Here we are. Eli Lilly's turning itself around. So if we can get UNH to get back above 400, MBO to get steaming again, healthcare, this XLV ETF will be pushing with fish oil, right? We'll be cooking with fish oil. So when you look at XLV, I mean, to me, we're gonna go break this all-time high, and next year to me will be a recovery year for both UNH and MBO and healthcare. Healthcare has gotten beaten, obliterated, whooped on, whatever you want to say, but they haven't had a good year. And that is the reality for things sometimes. It's not every stock is going to have a blowout year. There needs to be pullbacks in order for you to set yourself up for a decent buying opportunity. And that's in the case of right now here on UNH is we're experiencing a pullback, here on UNH. Pullback that's occurred here. Uh, like we said, not really has been a good year. But XLV has turned itself around. So let's, sharpen up and pay attention to these setups here. So, yep. Next thing we're going to discuss I want to discuss cyber stocks, CrowdStrike. So I want to do this early, right? I really want to do this early. So we're gonna have in the month of December, the same way that we did last year, where we actually did our stock options playbook and just our breakout plays, stock options playbook and breakout plays for 2020. We're going to do it again in the month of December. We'll do it by the second week. And we're going to talk about breakout plays, right? So I definitely want to, make sure that I highlight a couple of things. First thing that I would say is I want you to put this on your notes, CrowdStrike. I want you to put this on CrowdStrike. And I want you to put this on February and March is normally where corrections happen. That's why I said it. So I want you to put CrowdStrike 700. Crowd 700 next year. So I'm giving you guys a little bit of preview into my thoughts and predictions for next year. But CrowdStrike $700 a share. We take one step closer to completing this $1,000 campaign that we've been on with CrowdStrike once again since $100. So CrowdStrike will be on the move next year. CrowdStrike, we're anticipating this to be a major year, but I want to focus on a couple of things here with Crowd. Profitability will be in focus. You can't come to the table and not actually be profitable. You cannot come to the table. This won't cut it next year. Losing $1.22 in the past 12 months won't cut it. Having negative EPS quarters won't cut it. So I'm gonna say this in front of everybody here right now. CrowdStrike will only go to $700 if they can turn around their profitability. No turning around profitability leads to, unfortunately, they will not. And once again, I do want to say that, unfortunately, if CrowdStrike cannot turn around their profitability, they will be putting themselves behind the eight ball right here, right now. So CrowdStrike needs to figure it out quick and in a hurry on how to push themselves to maximum profitability. So that's what I say here about Crowd, right? Losing $1.22 will not be enough to suffice for themselves. So I did want to stress that here. CrowdStrike needs to focus on maximum profitability. So Crowd, $700 a share is going to be the target here on Crowd. I want you to put this down for Palo Alto Network for next year. Palo Alto Network, we have a price target of 240 to 250. So Palo Alto Network, we have a price target of 240 to 250 for Palo Alto Network. We want you to put that down. 240 to 250 for Palo Alto Network. 240, 250. So you should have those two price targets there. Palo Alto Network and as well on CrowdStrike. So cybersecurity stocks, we want you to, like we said, get exposed. CrowdStrike, majority of people, for the most part, a lot of people already have a good bit of CrowdStrike. So just be holding on to whatever they already have. But we are anticipating the CrowdStrike to shoot upwards. Next stock to cover, I want to talk about a couple equities first. And we're actually going to talk about Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about MicroStrategy. So a couple things here, especially with BTC had a pretty tough November, pretty tough with October and November, right? Pretty tough October and November, but November definitely took it a next leg down as we broke underneath. So when we do take a look here, couple things that we will make note of. So first things first, what we do want to discuss and speak about here on this name. First thing that I would discuss is on BTC right around that 73K, 73, 74K, 66K area. And then still on MicroStrategy, we're not out the woodworks yet. I know that MSTU is going to do a 2 to was it not a two, a 10-to-1 split. So we do have MSTU, which is going to go ahead and split, where now you're going to go and you're going to have, I would say, you're going to have uh, 10 times less the shares. So if you have 100 shares, you're going to be left with 10. Or if you have 1,000 shares, right, you are going to be left with 100. So MSTR to me is, once again, we are in a really great spot. If we are looking at MSTR, I do want you guys to pay attention there. I would look for roughly around 110 to 130, 40 type area. That would be where I would monitor and look for. BTC next year, I think we could still see that pull back to 66K. The 66 to 74K is definitely sticking out like a sore thumb. So I do think we could still see that pull back there. Um, so yeah, my thoughts as far as picking up shares of MicroStrategy, I would roughly say, like I said, right there around $100, 100, 110, 120 in that area. BTC, Bitcoin's had its retracement. If you notice, I was watch in December. If BTC makes it back above 100, I think we can push up back over there. We may try to go test 110, 115. So there's something important to make. So watching 100K will be very, very, very critical and important over the next, I would say over the next 30 days. So December, we can, to me, it looks like we potentially could see a rally back to the upside here for BTC. So just do keep that in mind when you are looking at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. MicroStrategy, we understand what's happening here with MSTR. So we are waiting to see if we can see anything movement more back to the upside. So MSTR waiting on this 177, right? So we are looking to wait for price to actually pull back to the upside here. So that's our thoughts. MicroStrategy. So we see some movement back there. That'd be perfect for us. I'm here on MSTR. Next stock to cover. Let's cover Hood. So we do take a look at Hood, two things I do want to discuss with Hood. We did shoot off of right there at $100 a share. Hood came back up. I would watch Hood back above 130. Hood did have a decent size pullback. I also want to talk about Coinbase. I think it was stock that first had up because I was looking at it this morning. Coinbase is down here to 270 right now. All right, so Coin has been able to hold up pretty much well. So when you do take a look at Coinbase, Coin been able to stay above 270, been able to stay above 270 as of Friday's close. So if we can see Hood break back over 128, I think that'd be pretty much solid for us. If we are looking on Coinbase's side, we're waiting to see Coin actually push higher, right? So we are waiting on Coinbase actually push back over that 293. So we will keep our eyes there. And you do have here on Hood back over 132. So the crypto stocks sold off, as we know, pretty heavy within the past month. Crypto stocks again been getting pretty much blasted and beaten up pretty bad. So like we said, if we can see an actual move back here on the upside, that'd be pretty perfect for us. So we're looking for Coinbase to make that move higher. Right? So Coin right now currently is here 272. You also have Kano, right? So you could get exposed to Kano. Currently right now, Kano's at about $21. We're still, I would say that the best price is still around $9 to $12. So I still stand on that as far as getting overly exposed, right? Around that $9 to $12 mark would probably be around your best price scenario for Coinbase. So for Kano, I would keep that, like I said, in the back pocket. But if Coinbase could right now just be experiencing a bit of a lower high, if you would like to get exposed to it around maybe $13, $15, I'm not mad at you for that. because I do think that's a pretty decent price as well. So you could get exposed there at that price specifically on this name. So not a bad price to pay for these equities at all. Definitely not a bad price at all to pay for these names. So that's my thoughts on Coinbase across the board. So that's where you have these, where you have the opportunities lying. Um, Risky assets in the month of December can run really incumbent upon if we get that rate cut. So we can pop up here December 10th and we get another 25-point basis shave. That'd be very important for us to actually move down. We see a move down to 3.5, 3.75 on the interest rate tip. So we will be, like I said, we will be analyzing and watching for that. We will be looking for an interest rate cut in next month here in December. And like we said, that can be a catalyst that actually takes us there to the upside. So we'll wait and see. We'll play the wait and see game there on the interest rate cut. But these are just some areas of the market to really consider here within the next couple of days and a couple of weeks here during the holiday time. Okay, so when I am looking, like I said, across the board, not a ton of opportunities as far as from a discounted long-term perspective, but a few, right? If you're looking in those areas. So this was just kind of preliminary to some of the things we'll discuss tomorrow. We'll do the watch list tomorrow, and we'll be sharp and prepared. So want to make sure I came on and gave a little bit of value this morning. I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap up this class here now. I'll post this recording as soon as it comes in. But I will look out for this recording and look out for me tomorrow. So I will see everybody tomorrow on Zoom, and we'll be back live at 8 a.m. So hopefully everybody enjoys the rest of their Saturday. Super